The following podcast contains spoilers.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I have a sleeping disorder. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake. This is the Bunzarelli Show.
My name is Joe. Joining me, I got Khiim. Khiim, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good. Also on the line, I got Bob here with me. Bob, how you doing?
Hey.
It's one of my favorite things to do is these TV shows. Kind of just like follow the ups and downs and try to figure out what's going on, what's going to happen next. And like I said, MoonKnight was really a treat because we didn't know much about the character. We didn't go into it with a lot of baggage or expectations, and it was just refreshing. You know what I'm saying? But I personally felt like it was a good ending to the show. Khiim, how'd you think about it?
Yeah, I definitely think it was a good ending, but it was also a new opening.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too,
Yeah.
because it still hasn't been answered where we are with that. But Bob, how'd you feel about it?
I enjoyed it a lot, but I only because you told me before I watched it to stick around after the credits.
Yeah.
And I texted you after. I was upset because I forgot about that. And boy, if you didn't stick around, you would have, I was upset until it came. It was like, because that was the one.
That was like the true ending.
Yeah, exactly. It was the true ending. And I don't know how I feel about them doing those endings after the credits. I guess if you're, it's a Marvel show, so you should know better.
Yeah. It's kind of like their trademark.
Yeah, but you know what? You bring up a good point, and obviously whoever's listening has seen the whole episode anyway. But it is a problem because it wasn't like an after. It was like if you didn't see that and you just stopped it right where it ended, you would be like, "What the heck?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because even that ending, even that twist, if that's the end or there's going to be a season 2, we don't know. But at least if that was it, that's a cool little like, oh, it's not over. It's wow, like almost like that ML Shyamalan guy, the Sixth Sense dude.
Yeah.
That wasn't like a little Easter egg. That was like the end of the show.
That was the ending.
Yeah.
That was the ending. It was the big thing. It was like, oh, there's the third, that was the biggest cliffhanger was like, what are these gaps? What's the third thing going to be?
Yeah.
And then it's like, they didn't answer the question, and then they answered it. I was like, oh, okay. And it was funny too, because I think I did send that text. I texted you.
No, because you texted me. You were like, "What WTF?" And I'm like, and then you were like, "Oh wait, now I saw it."
Oh wait, there it is.
So it starts out, Harrow's winning. He got Amit, so they delivered on the Amit instead of it just being an idea and something you're talking about. You got Khonshu and Layla. I like seeing Khonshu again. Like I said last time, like you're gonna miss Khonshu. So it was nice seeing him back in the action. He's good, but he's just focused on his mission.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting like anti-hero kind of vibe.
Yeah, somebody said something like the actor that played him said, because everybody's like, "Is there season 2?" I'm kind of wondering if there's season 2 just because they're denying it so hard. He sacrificed himself, which he did. It's a true point. He said, Steven, when they imprisoned me, tell Mark to free me.
Yeah.
So he took a dive for the team.
Yeah, he did.
So it kind of makes it that, like, okay, you almost have an understanding of why he expects others to take a dive for the team as well.
Yeah.
Even though, like, he's all business. It's just his personality, right or wrong.
Yeah. It's not like he's malevolent or anything.
It's almost like a Magneto situation where it's like, you're kind of, and that's how good bad guys are.
Yeah.
But he's definitely, more towards a gray area than Magneto would be. But, he's got his mission. But his mission is a good one. It's just, he's...
Yeah, it's just the method
he's
of
cracking
it.
a lot of eggs along the way. Yeah, the method. Yeah, exactly. It's a little sketchy, but it's still, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say if you side with him or not. He makes good points.
Yeah, and where did really the wrong go with Mark? Oh, I guess because you just like forced him into this life of servitude. Yeah,
He took advantage of Mark.
Yeah, he
did. That's where that came in.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
because Mark was like done, and he's like, "Here's my way out." And then like Khonshu stepped in, and Steven. I like how Steven, when the gang gets back together, and Steven just straight out calls out Khonshu.
Yeah,
and he goes, "Oh, we learned from you, you old bird." He just starts sticking. He goes, "Hey, how's this arrangement gonna go?"
Well, speaking of that, I do want to say, did you guys catch at the end in that after credit clip that Khonshu was wearing like a suit like Steven would have?
Yes.
I wonder what importance that had.
Huh.
Yeah, he was wearing like the Mr. Knight suit.
Yeah.
So there was something with the and once-
Interesting.
like since we haven't read the comics, so you hear the things where like I guess the origin of the Mr. Knight suit in the comics is supposed to be like the version of Mark that's controlling all his personalities, and they altered the storyline for the TV show.
Okay.
Which I liked. I like when you see Mr. Knight, you know it's Steven.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for. That you would see Steven, and it worked really cool the way they were like tag teaming during the fight and everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice significance unless it was just like the limo, and it's just like because he's still a part of Steven and Mark.
Yeah.
It's very weird because when he said, I release you, he was very specific. He goes, I release you both. And that's where I guess the loophole is I didn't make that deal with Jake because when you think about the original deal, he made it with Mark, and it was supposed to be like Steven has to stay out of this.
Yeah.
So it's very like he's treating them like they're separate people and everything. Mm-hmm. The only thing I don't get is how are Mark and Steven not catching up to this? Maybe they're just too comfy with what's going on, or they haven't. That would be something that we explored if they go forward.
Yeah, it almost kind of takes us back to the beginning. It's like, okay, is Jake the we're gonna find out Jake is the real personality or something, or if Mark is the real personality, why did he create Jake? We saw the purpose of him creating Steven. It was kind of to shelter him from like childhood abuse.
You got to think that Steven didn't know about Mark for 40 years.
Yeah.
So they could just, and plus they're switching with each other. So whatever has been going on the whole time, if the third guy's taking the shift and cleaning up his tracks, it's same how Mark and Steven did it. Well, Mark knew about Steven.
Yeah, that's the
Steven
difference.
didn't
The
know
difference is
about Mark.
Yeah, Mark always knew.
Yeah.
And Steven figured it
for sure.
out. But how do they, if both of them are black, like when both of them blacked out after the fight, they're like, was that you? Was that you? And they just kind of let it go. Granted, it was the storyline. For the sake of the storyline, they still paid it off.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm sure they have an idea, but they'll explain it if they went forward with a season 2. It was a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, and it just makes me think like, how many times did Mark black out and just not know? Okay, Steven, like, is he aware when Steven is there, even though Steven wasn't aware? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, there's a mirror thing, so they kind of like.
That was after. I feel
that was
like
after
that.
the
Yeah,
fact.
I feel
You're
like
right,
that was after the fact.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Mark always kind of knew about Steven, but if he was blacking out and he knew it wasn't a Steven thing.
Well, he knew of Steven, but he would probably, things are hazy. So I could see hours, if he's waking up after Steven blackouts somewhere else, you could see a few hours lost in there.
I guess the better question I'm trying to ask is how many Jake moments did he have prior to us picking up on the story where it started?
Oh, here's one I'll bring to you because so there's the lapses of memory where he goes and kills people. It was I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But there was somebody brought something else because the comic readers started chiming in. So I started seeing it, but I didn't want to say, Jake Lockley, because
I saw it too.
Yeah, but I didn't want to spoil it for you guys and whatever. Like we're still going through but now that it's all out of the bag, but people were saying there was a part, if you guys can remember the scene, there's a part in the doctor's office where the last episode where he gets there and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is some nice office you got here." Hey, and then he picks up the glass pyramid thing to go to stab Dr. Harrow. But he's talking with a different accent than he's talking with Mark, but with a gangster accent.
Yeah.
And then it came up again at the end, which, by the way, the end part where he's just doing the voices one after the other, he's just having you see that? He goes, yeah, I do see that. He's just going from Steven to Mark. But there was a point where he said something like, "Hey, thanks, Doc," and it was a third. It didn't sound like Mark. It sounded like something else.
Yeah, looking back, I see that.
Yeah, that's crazy because I caught those moments too, but I just thought it was I was like, okay, he kind of butchered the accent on that part. You know what I mean? But now that you mention it in that perspective, and we see that Jake Lockley, that might have been him.
Yeah, because
through.
people on Twitter were like, "Is this Jake?" And it was a part who goes, "Hey, this is some nice office you got here. This must cost a lot of money." And then he's going for the thing, and it was out of character for Mark. So
and they almost played it off like it was just a part of the psychosis he was going through in that moment.
And in that scene, I think at the same time as when Steven and Mark were in the middle of a different flashback, so it was kind of abrupt and weird.
Exactly.
It was very like with the timing, it didn't make sense. Not that any of it made sense, but
There was another time I think he appeared. If you think back into the earlier episodes, and I stole this from something, and I can't give it credit because I didn't want to see a spoiler. So I was just, it was like a headline, and it had a picture, and it says, "Is this the third guy?" And it was a picture of him when they first switched, and he's in he wakes up and he's in Egypt or whatever country that they went to, and he's sitting on the floor of like a hotel room, and he's got a bottle of booze, and I think there was a girl in the bed even. And I remember thinking after that, or when I seen that picture, I thought, yeah, that doesn't make sense for Mark or for Steven.
Yeah.
Looking back, that didn't seem like something either of them would be doing.
Yeah.
How about Layla?
Yeah.
Gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
The whole fun of it.
And you know what? It wasn't, I thought it was great because they already established before it happened that she knew how to fight. So it wasn't too corny, like, oh, she's magically a superhero out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of made sense with especially because like Tarawet, we've already met her and she was just being silly and goofy. Like that whole dynamic was pretty funny because we got to know Tarawet before. So it wasn't like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I got the perfect costume, this and that. And it was just, something simple. And we saw Layla was cool with daggers. And also, like we said before, Layla was going for it anyway with no power. She
Layla was
like,
awesome.
Yeah, Layla is just...
Yeah, she was awesome to begin with. And we've seen how Steven, when he was like, okay, we see that this isn't something where you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're a superhero, because Steven did. And it was hilarious, watching him in the suit trying to do something and he couldn't. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now let's give it to someone who you've seen already kicks butt.
Yeah.
Let's give it to her. And she comes out the gate. And like my first thought was like, oh yeah, for the girl, they don't, mask her up and all that. It's kind of, why didn't they do it? And it's like, you know what? It was kind of cooler because she was just straight. It was like less magical fighting than MoonKnight, and it was more just straight up, still superpower, but just straight up
choreography.
Like actual choreography. Yeah. That we've seen her do already. It was just, multiplied by whatever. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
Even Steven kind of leveling up on the fighting kind of makes sense because he has that realization that he is Mark.
Yeah.
So it's almost like merging a little bit.
Yeah. Anything you do, I can do too.
Yeah. And he said that before. You got this if I got this.
The him and Mark stuff is the best thing about that show.
It is.
The relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
And the whole going back for him thing and everything. And it was funny because I think it was Joe was going to tell me, like, how are they going to go back for him? How are they going to go back for him? And then, like, the first 30 seconds of the episode, he's like, hey, we got to go back for Steven.
Yeah.
He turns around, he takes 2 steps, and he gives him a handshake. He's like, all right, we got Steven. Cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. That mystery solved.
And I think that goes back to the way, like, they cut up the episodes, too. Because at first, and I wasn't, but I kind of had in my head, because I was like, okay, since we did all the cool, deep storyline stuff, we're going to go into this, and it's going to be pow, kick, boom, which it is a superhero show, but it showed, like, what the episode before laid the groundwork was. It was the resolution was that Steven and Mark, like, we get along, we work together. We're gonna be MoonKnight together. Which is weird because at the end it goes, we'd rather save the world, but he already told Conchu to get lost. But whatever, it was still kind of a resolution of them. It was like the peace with them.
Yeah.
And then accepting. Granted, it's kind of weird because it's like, well, it's schizophrenia. It's not really a healthy ending, but I guess the idea is he made peace with himself and he's got it more under control. At least on a level he could work with.
Yeah. I will say I do have one gripe that now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
So the Khonshu and Amit fight when they get giant. I wish they would have not gone giant and just stayed normal size and it just been more of a choreographed fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there fully. But the whole thing where they make characters big and then they're in like slow motion.
Yeah.
And that's always weird to me. I don't know. Maybe I've just never seen things that big move, and that's how they would really move. But it still just never looks right to me.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, when she was, like, sucking in the souls and just growing, but just, like, to scale, growing. I was like, all right, this is a little corny.
Exactly.
Like, but the other thing is, because it's on the ethereal, what I gauged from it was, like, almost the cinematography purpose of it. When Mark's down at the end, he just sees the fight happening in the background. That's what I gauged.
Yeah, it was a mirroring kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's like it's going on. Nobody could see it, but he knows it's going on. And that was. But yeah, the where they get bigger and bigger, but they exist on a different plane. But yeah, that part was when Amit actually grew. I did like the Amit talking to Harrow stuff.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
Because
Yes.
Harrow was ready to die. Like as soon as he started talking, he's like, "Oh, I blew it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, all right. I'm ready." He goes, "Hey, I got these other disciples." Like Harrow was all about the cause, which is cool. Like he was ride or die with the Amit thing. He wasn't just doing it for power or something.
Yeah.
He truly believed in that cause.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, which is different for a
Yeah.
bad guy to see them like not, turn out to be he's just a coward. They just sell out his whatever to get ahead. Like no, he had his cause and he was going to die for it. Even that was just it.
Yeah, even if he wasn't glorified for it.
And he threw Randall right in Mark's face too.
Yeah.
His brother. He said, if it had Amit been alive, we would have got the one weed that was you. There was one weed in the garden. Like, well, your mom wasn't that great either, but whatever you want to
Yeah.
roll with. But
Yeah.
which
Okay.
Harrow has been in his head, so he must have picked up on it. Plus, he has a knowledge of actual. What do you guys think? It's like the future. I think the general consensus was people like the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So we said before how Oscar Isaac has a lot of things going on, but there's a bunch of big actors before that have a lot of things going on, and they could do that. Even Jon Favreau's making The Mandalorian, and he could still play Happy Hogan
Yeah.
for a Spider-Man movie.
I don't think he's above it. I don't think
Yeah.
that he's above it.
Yeah.
And I think and I was saying it the other way around before, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at these. I'm like, especially it's 6 episodes and it's less than an hour each. It's like it's 2 movies worth of time.
Yeah.
And these shows now, it's different now than it was before, which is actually really awesome for TV and movies, to where it isn't like TV is lower grade and then movies are this grade and they don't interchange.
Yeah.
Now that they're melding together, it's making for more quality programming by
Yeah.
mixing, the different levels of actors and everything. Like, I don't think it would hurt Oscar Isaac's, like how people look at him, for him to
No.
bust out another season, in a year or so from now. And for him, like work wise, it's like, if it's 2 movies, you think if he does another season, it's like, okay, it's like he did a trilogy or, one more.
Yeah.
So it's not like that unheard of. It's not like a show, because a TV show, you gotta remember, I forget what is it, like, was it 52 weeks in a year? So it's like half of that. You figure like 26 episodes or something that they're doing for TV shows or more. It's
Yeah.
like a TV work schedule is nuts compared to a movie. That's why they don't interchange also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this looks like it was just, it was like 2 movies. And if it's a Disney Plus thing, it turns out to be huge. Plus like he's under contract with Disney and Star Wars. It's all the same owners, right? So it's not like he's gonna say no, I can't do this. Like he's under it's his same bosses running both of them.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's probably done with Star Wars because that trilogy's done. But he has worked with them, and they've held actors as long as those actors will stick around. They know what they're doing with them, to make like Avengers work and stuff like that, like Endgame, to try for that.
I think we might see a movie before we see a season 2.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
A movie instead.
Because now we
Go
don't
from
need
a show to a movie.
Yeah, now we don't need an origin point. You know what I mean? Because that's what
Just
they would
kick
have.
it off and have them go.
Now they can kick it off and just go into this.
Yeah, like everything else, he can
Yeah.
just appear in something.
Yeah.
Or they bring Daredevil, like you said, Khiim, if they go the route of the Marvel Knights and stuff, which I still want my like Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider back. I
Yeah.
actually want my Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. That's from the 90s. That was like that was my Ghost Rider.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, did you give him a shot? You gave like the third Ghost Rider a
Yeah.
TV show. Like what? Everybody just dived on the second one.
Yeah.
I hope there's another one.
I hope so too. I want to see it, especially if you have the Jake thing happen. Then it's refreshing. You're not just beating a dead horse. Because
Yeah.
now it's like the questions we're asking about Jake. Let them ask those questions. You know what I'm saying? How come we didn't notice this, or how did this happen?
Yeah.
And then he explores something else. And then maybe the resolution at the end of that is, all right, I guess we are dealing with Khonshu and we are Moon Knight again. So.
Yeah. I'm for sure we'll see Moon Knight again, because one thing I know about Marvel is it's not even about the movies. It's about the merchandise, the shirts, the toys, the posters, all the stuff that they really make money on. And you know what I mean? Moon Knight is a character they're making money off of.
And I think the reception. I think people really. I
Yeah.
believe people really like this one.
Exactly. I wouldn't put it as, it wasn't as big of a success as Black Panther, because that was another character that not a lot of people in the MCU fandom was familiar with, and they brought it forward. Like, yeah, comic people were familiar with him, but that was another one that they introduced, and then everybody received it well and wanted more. I feel like Moon Knight is under in that.
I think the rewatchability of it is something too, because like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Before we started recording this show, I was just kind of dinking on my phone because I was like, well, let me look at some key scenes again from the last episode. And I ended up in the first episode again, and I'm seeing certain things. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, Steven's first seeing Khonshu and the glimpses of it, and Mark saying, Steven, stop looking. Like, all of a sudden, oh, like, I almost want to watch it back from the beginning again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it again. Yeah,
Put
because it's the
piece
type
together.
of show it's one of those mind bender things to where you have to watch it a second time because the first time, and which actually is kind of a negative towards will they make a second season, because you got to think a lot of the stuff that we enjoyed from the first season was us learning
Yeah, it was a nuance.
those things and figuring them out and seeing him work them out. Now that that's done, you know what I mean? That was a lot of the fun of it. You know, we enjoyed the Moon Knight fight scenes, but I know I was saying each one that we've done, like, you know, that was cool and all, but him and Mark fighting before they had that fight was a lot cooler.
Yeah.
So the key to doing it next time would be, it's got to be a different villain that's not so. And Harrow was cool, and the Amit thing was cool, but it was pretty simple, and it needed to be because the more complex stuff was Mark. But now that Mark's all fleshed out and we got him figured out, you got to put some kind of twist on the villain, make something different, make something, you know.
Yeah, it's them figuring out the third guy.
Yeah, because for six episodes, we kind of knew this Amit thing was happening, and she did exactly what she said she was going to do. You know, like, which was cool because, like I said, the Mark and Steven stuff was the big unraveling mystery. So since that's unraveled, you got the Jake thing, you got that struggle with the Mark, Steven, and Jake thing, and then whatever other villain, maybe somebody trying to take advantage of that situation.
Yeah,
or Khonshu and stuff. We'll see what the future is for Moon Knight. We got a lot of exciting things coming up. Well, we got Doctor Strange coming up, and then after that is Obi-Wan, and that'll pretty much finish out the season. So exciting stuff coming up. So once again, I want to thank Khiim.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And Bob, thanks for being here.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys.